What's up YouTube, this is your friend the neighborhood movie nerd, back to give you guys everything that is going on in the world of movies and TV, and today I am reviewing the new Pixar movie, Coco. Pixar has been one of my favorite animated companies since growing up in the 2000s, which was easily one of the best decades for animation. This decade, still a great decade for animation, not so good for Pixar considering the fact that we've only got two great Pixar movies this decade, that being of course Toy Story 3 and Inside Out. Now does this measure up to those two previous successes? Let's find out. This is my review for Coco.
Welcome! Anything to declare?
As a matter of fact, yes.
Coco was the next Pixar film, directed by Lee Unkrich, the director of Toy Story 3, and in quite possibly the most Disney-fied version of a Pixar film I've ever seen, we follow young Miguel, a Mexican boy, as he struggles to get out of his family's tradition of making shoes in order to follow his dreams of becoming a musician like his idol, Ernesto de la Cruz, voiced by Benjamin Bratt, the greatest musician Mexico has ever seen. But when his quest accidentally takes him to the land of the dead, ironically enough during the Day of the Dead, he must team up with guardian dog Dante and a con artist skeleton named Hector, voiced by Gael Garcia Bernal, in order to get back to the land of the living before sunrise when he will become permanently trapped in the land of the dead forever. Now because I don't usually like to talk about the animated short before the movie, I'm just gonna get this out of the way because I have to, because this is like a notice for anybody going in to see this movie that the Olaf short that in front of it is 20 minutes long, so that already makes it unnecessarily long, and that shit is complete and total bullshit. If you can, avoid it at all costs because it is absolute garbage. So I just wanted to get that out of the way before I actually get into my review of this movie. Coco, the movie itself, is total garbage. This movie sucks. This might be one of the worst Pixar movies that I have seen since Brave. That's how much I hated this movie. So, most Pixar movies have a stigma of being extremely intelligent and having a lot of messages in there for adults as well as for kids. With this movie, that is not the case at all. This movie feels extremely dumbed down. It feels really over the top and obnoxious and in your face, and it just directly appealing to kids. And I don't necessarily have a problem with that all the time, it's just that I usually expect more when it comes to Pixar movies. So that's kind of what I meant when I said this was more like a Disney movie made by Pixar rather than an actual Pixar movie. What probably amazed me the most about this movie is just how cynical it is. Like, for a kids movie, like, I've seen cynical kids movies before, but this one just had a lot of really terrible undertones. Like, ironically enough, it actually has to do with one of my favorite parts of the movie because there is a twist concerning this kid Miguel and his idol De La Cruz, the guy who was trying to find in the land of the dead, concerning him and his musical partner when he was younger. That is a total 180 in the movie, completely flips it on its head, like kind of woke me up out of the slumber that I was in terms of just being bored and annoyed by it, and I was like, oh, okay, where did this come from? The problem is that by the time that came around in the movie is already almost into its third act, and it's like, oh my god, get to the point already, and it just, of course, ends up wrapping itself up neatly in a perfect little bow, like most kids' movies do, so I don't really feel like I get a lot of that cool payoff that I got from the abrupt jump in and just like, oh, we're a dumb kids movie, oh, now we're like super cynical and in your face and really mean about like not ever trusting your idols. Aside from me knowing only two people in this movie, it's like I said, Benjamin Bratt is De La Cruz, Gael Garcia Bernal from Mozart in the Jungle, and Amores Perros and Babel is Hector, his like traveling companion skeleton who's like the dumb Disney sidekick who they like try to put a little bit of a twist into, and Edward James Olmos has a tiny part, but other than that, I don't know any of the people in this movie. But what sucks the most is the fact that this is a movie about the Mexican culture, and all of these characters still feel like stereotypes. Like really obnoxious, and I wouldn't care about that as much if it was done well, if they were made into actual characters. The problem is that for an animated movie, these characters feel like cartoon characters, and what I mean by that is they feel really over the top, obnoxious, and in your face, and they don't feel like real people, which is something that Pixar, another thing that Pixar has kind of done really well, is making these animated hand-drawn figures have these great human characteristics. Which sucks that this is the next movie about a major culture that we get 1 year after Moana, which is arguably one of the best films that Disney on its own has done in years. So I will give this movie credit where credit is due. It does have some gorgeous visuals, but overall this is yet another example that Pixar is not the titan of animation that it was last decade, and it makes me really sad that we've only gotten two great Pixar movies this decade. So it is with a heavy heart that I give this movie 5.5 out of 10 stars. So that's it. That is my review for Coco. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Also be sure to click the like button and that subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter at MovieNerdReview. Also head on over to the website movienerdreviews.com. That is it. I will see you guys next time.
Go!